For the thing that I fear comes upon me, and what I dread befalls me. Job 3 verse 25. I don't particularly like snakes. When I worked in Kenya as a missionary on the edge of the Nairobi Game Reserve, I dreaded encountering one. But I did experience 3 or 4 close encounters during my time there. One day, a 1.2 meter red-spitting cobra trapped me between 2 walls, rearing up less than 2 meters from me. I encountered these serpents not because I feared them, which I did, but simply because they were common in the area. Everyone encountered them on the mission station once in a while, whether they feared snakes or not. Sometimes Christians can be glib and careless, quoting Job 3 verse 25 to people who have genuine fears and experience suffering. After all, fear is a very normal human emotion. We all experience it from time to time. Although we should not allow fear to control us, we ought not to use this verse to say that if we fear something, it will inevitably encounter us. It is superstitious to suggest that our fear creates reality. Our lack of faith does not bring about suffering. Job did not suffer afflictions because he feared them. He suffered because the Lord allowed the accuser, sometimes called the Satan, to test Job's faith and devotion to God. The book of Job is a theological argument imbued with exquisite Hebrew poetry that uses wordplay and rhythm, usually lost in the English translation. This ancient biblical book begins by describing who Job was, focusing on his character and abundant wealth. And we are told that Satan was allowed by God to test Job. As a result, he lost everything, including his health. In chapter 3, Job laments his loss and painful suffering. It is in this chapter that we find verse 25, a verse often taken out of context and misquoted. Robert Falconer, a superb Hebrew scholar and translator, attempts to add the poetic nuances in this translation. For I feared a thing, it befell me. What I dreaded came upon me. When Job learned that he lost much of his wealth, fear gripped him. Fearing he would lose everything, which he eventually did, he continued to remain faithful to God, but he began to question himself, which was aggravated by his friends. Under the hand of the Satan, Job faced many trials, some of which are familiar to us today. We need to understand that it was the Satan, not the Lord, who caused Job's suffering. And so it is with us. God is not the author of evil, even though he sometimes permits it. Instead, he gives good gifts. Although Job was a righteous man, he had a theological misunderstanding like many of us today, where we cry in despair, "What I feared has come upon me." Remember, these are Job's words, not God's. Sometimes we forget the goodness and kindness of God. The Satan takes opportunities like these and deceives us with false doctrine. If we fear something, God will bring it about. Falsehoods like this one endanger our faith and trust in our Father. We should therefore be careful about judging others and even ourselves for lack of faith when we experience difficult times. Yet we should not fear what might come upon us, but trust in Jesus and His promises, even when we do encounter that which frightens us. I always find it helpful to bring my fears to God in prayer.